Okay, so everybody seemed to like the roll bar installation video, and some people wanted to see some other stuff, so we're starting on a new one. We've spent a couple months fixing the interior, which I'll probably do another video on, or at least slideshow. If you've been following me on Instagram, you've probably seen a lot of it already. But what we're starting on today is the turbocharger kit. So we've got to do some demo work, really. We've got to get the nose of the car off. It's very dirty because it's been sitting in the garage. We got to get the nose of the car off. We got to get this lip, which is a little worse for wear. We got to get that off, and we'll be refinishing that and reattaching it once we put it all back together. We got to get the nose out of the way. We're going to get underneath it, and we're going to get the cross under pipe off of it. And with the cross under pipe off of it, we'll be able to start mocking up the new parts. This is like the new cross under pipe that the turbocharger is going to mount to. Some stuff we've already done. We did relocate the battery to the passenger compartment, and that freed up all this space here. This is actually where the turbo is going to end up going. We won't really know for sure until I get that cross under pipe mocked in, but I think it's going to sit right about here. So we may have to relocate some hoses and some other stuff. We also have a set of injectors to go in, which means the intake's going to have to come off. So this is going to be a couple days worth of work. So we're going to get started. The old cross under pipe off, and as you can see, yeah, stellar work there, Wang, or whatever your name was. This thing leaking through the holes? No, you're all right. But yeah. Only the best Chinesium. So what we've got here is a big problem, and we hit our first roadblock. So, show you what we're talking about. We're underneath the car here. Oh, that's going to be sideways. And we got the old cross under pipe off. I hope you can't. Let's get some light here. Some light here. So, it's the header outlets, right? And then they go in there and there. Hold this up here. So holding this up, this pipe has to go through that cross member. So we're going to have to remove the cross member, section it, and make a new one, I guess. Ugh. So I'm going to get this out of the way and see what we can do. So it's the next day, and we've got our car mostly apart. At least I think this is most of the teardown we're going to do on the front end. What we found here is the core support, of course, is very badly rotted out, and this distance from here to here, and this thing's got a very low front hood line. You see that right there? That's pretty much as far down as it goes, and that is flush with here. So this is actually only 14 inches tall. So if you look at that radiator, it's very wide but very short. So I can't find any radiators that are that short. I'm gonna need a bigger aftermarket radiator. It's got a thicker core. This is rotted out, needs to be repaired anyway. So we are going to cut this top of this core support out. That gives us another inch of depth to set, and we'll probably find something awful on the inside of that. We may have to cut out the whole thing, which is fine. But that'll get us the clearance we need to get a 15-inch tall radiator in this hole. And then if we do cut this all the way out, well, we got to build a new cross member to connect to the motor mount locations to clear the turbo piping. See that under there? So let's get started with that. To tap the pan for the drain lines. Now there's two ways to do these. A lot of bolt-on kits come with something like this. This is a bulkhead connector. You drill a big hole, shove that in, cinch this nut down. It's got some provisions for O-rings, but the problem we're having here is we need to get into this pan somewhere flat, and there's nowhere flat. This will never seal, so we're gonna have to drill a hole and use this one, and this is a weld in, so we're gonna drill the hole, seat it right there, and weld it to the pan. So we gotta clean this area up and drill a hole. Okay, we have our pan. We've got, well, that's the drain plug hole. It's the back side of our welded in plug. We got good penetration all the way around. Not my best work, but I think that's going to hold. Looks pretty solid all the way around. I don't have any pores or anything, so this is going to get a bead of sealant and go back. All right, folks, we are up to day 4 on this project. Not 4 whole days, I have a day job. What we are doing today is, since we're waiting on some parts to come in, namely radiator intercooler, so I can't put any of this back, we're gonna go ahead and pull this intake manifold off and change out these injectors. And in the process, we'll always also replace the fuel pressure regulator with an adjustable one. So what we've already undone some of the wiring here, injector harnesses, vacuum line, return line. We got to take off the fuel feed line, and then there's a number of nuts and bolts in here to get this off. We'll have to disconnect some of this stuff, pull these plug wires off, get the VRIS solenoid disconnected, get the brake booster vacuum line disconnected, and then this whole piece will just come off. It's a bit of a wrestling match, but we'll get it. So we've got ourselves some fuel rails, and what we're going to do is replace these injectors, and we're also going to attach the new fuel pressure regulator here at the end. So you'll see when we get these apart why it's kind of hard to do big upgrades on these mid-90s Mazda products. And you know, that's anything with these KL engines. They use a weird side feed injector, which you'll see in a second. Architecture shared with the, you'll find these on the 626s, the Probe, the MX6, and even the second gen RX-7s. So start getting them apart. you can see, these are side feed design. The fuel rail floods the bowl, pressurized fuel, and it goes into here, and then it, you know, sprays out there. So that's why these are such a pain in the butt sometimes, and why you can't get replacements, because most injectors, modern injectors especially, have switched to at least for the non-direct injected, are a top feed injector, where the rail goes on top of the injector and the fuel goes down through the middle. That's not what these Mazda injectors are. So finding bigger ones is sometimes difficult. Alright, so we've got injectors out. Nice pretty old blue injectors. We'll look at these new ones. So these are from a Mazda Millennia S, which if you're not familiar with it, Mazda's Millennia was their high-end sedan. It was a little bigger than the 626, and the S had a very interesting 2.3 liter V6 supercharged Miller cycle engine. And if you don't know what a Miller cycle engine is, during the compression stroke, it actually holds the intake valves open against the supercharger pressure, so you can get just a little bit more air into the cylinder before the valve closes. And these injectors are 301 cc injectors. The stock ones here are only 190 cc, so that's you know, not a lot of power. You know, these max out 170 horsepower, which is right what that engine made from stock. These should be good for about 270 at 80% duty cycle. So we are going to get some lubricant and get these guys installed. Bus. All right, same thing on this guy. Well, it helps if I put it on the right side, right? All right, so that's that. Next thing we got to figure out is this fuel pressure regulator. This is the factory one. I'm going to go check this part number, make sure this is vacuum referenced, so we need to find out if this sucker will support high enough fuel pressure. If it doesn't, then we will have to figure out a fix this guy. This is the one that came with the turbo kit, and you can see this factory regulator is O-ring fit to here. So this regulator that doesn't connect. And of course, we've got a really small orifice on the return line, so this thing might not be something we want to use anyway. But we will research that and report back when we have something to tell.